Hi guys, it's so nice to see you again. I am here to answer your weekly question. This week's question comes from a very dear friend of mine. His name is Sahil, and I can count on Sahil always for really interesting discussions and difficult questions in life. Let me get to the question soon. So, the question is how do you see your three primary loves, language or literature, music, and photography, interacting with each other, and how has this interaction enriched your life? I'm going to try to break the answer down. I'm going to start with how these three forms of art have enriched my life individually, and then in the end, I'll talk about the interaction between them and what role that has played in my life. I'm going to start with photography. Um, photography has enriched my life from a very long time. In fact, from way before I ever started learning the medium. My father and his brothers, when they were younger, they used to love experimenting with cameras and film, and they had made a small device to enlarge photos at home, and they would develop photos and do a lot of trial and error. And because of their experimentation and just general love for the art, there's an entire cupboard full of old photos at home, and I cannot even begin to explain what kind of a treasure trove that is. We have so many beautiful old photos, and photos from before my birth, from the time my father spent with his friends and cousins, and my aunts, and beautiful black and whites. Some of them are like, with this device they've even enlarged them, and there are larger prints. It's just beautiful, like stars in the sky. These old photos are like ghosts from the past. They're like lively spirits of the has been, whose light is many years old, and yet when it reaches us, it is the most beautiful and real slice of the presence. You see, they stop being old photos at that point. And I keep wondering, like, what is the quality of this medium that makes these old chemical reactions on glossy papers so much more meaningful than just that. Even today, photography lets me communicate stories to people who don't speak my language. It helps me tell stories that where words fail me, and I cannot wrap my head around it. It's so powerful. Right from the beginning of this journey of telling stories, photography has sort of held my hand while I explored this unique and wide big world of visual communication. So just like photography, language or literature has like given me so much joy all my life. In fact, it is the very first medium that I have learned. Like all of us, in fact, learn language before we learn anything else, right? We start using words to communicate more complex ideas. And for me, that medium was in fact Marathi. It is my mother tongue. I grew up listening to Chan Chan Goshti, and these whimsical poems written by Vinda Karandikar, and all sorts of Marathi bedtime stories, and it was such a pleasure. I think I primarily learned Marathi listening to older people at home speak to each other. We have a very big family, and we always used to have a lot of guests at home. So, I constantly heard my grandparents and their cousins and all talk to each other. And I think my love for Marathi language stems from those early, experiences with the language. I mean, even long after some of my grandparents were, gone, they passed away. Even after that, I still have, their old letters at home. Just like we have a cupboard full of photos, we have a drawer full of old letters. Most of them are in Marathi, and I can spend hours. I can spend hours reading them. And there, because there were no phones or whatever, they have such, like, everyday communication, very mundane stuff, but it's so beautiful to get lost in this, time from before my birth. Just like old photos, I think these old letters are very immersive. I mean, I was only 4 years old when my grandfather passed away, so for me to, to be able to run my fingers over his handwriting, which is so beautiful and tiny, trying to be economic with the space of, that was available in one page, it just makes me feel very connected to him. And I think all of this is a part of literature or language. It is not just the books that I've read, it is all of this. And I'm very, very lucky to have friends who still write letters and postcards to me from literally all over the world. And I have kept that tradition alive as well. Like last year, I must have easily written 50 to 60 postcards from my travel, because I want my loved ones to have this feeling and experience the joy of receiving first hand literature. So I think language and literature, what they've done for me is very ironically really difficult to put in words. With each language that I've learned after Marathi, my world has only grown. In German, there's a sentence that says, Die Grenzen meiner Sprache sind die Grenzen meiner Welt, which means the limits of my language are the limits of my world. And I experience this every single day. So let me talk a little bit about music now. Among these three, music is the most primordial and elemental kind of a medium. And just like with literature and photography, my exposure to music started at home. There was always music at home. There was always RD and SD and Salil Chaudhary and OP Nair playing at home. But we also always had Rudaynath Mangeshkar and Sudhir Phadke and Vasant Prabhu and Srinivas Khare. Of course, like this was probably this is, I think, common to most of us. But I have a very unique connection with Indian classical music because of my maternal grandfather, who was very, very deeply in love with it. In fact, he started Surel Sabha more than 50 years ago. Through that exposure, I think my exploration of music started at a very early age. And in fact, I think music is one of the very few things that helped me make very deep friendships outside of my family. Take Sahil's example. I think we were 16 or 17 years old when we got to know each other, and Sahil and I became friends primarily because of music. We bonded over it, and I was fascinated with the way he engaged with music, which was, more with the lyrical part of it, and I engaged with the musical part of it. And, through this exchange, we ended up becoming such good friends. And just like with Sahil, I made many more friends because of music later in life. And I must mention the deep connection I have with my guru Meera Panshikar. I can't imagine, having that deep a connection with someone without music. It's impossible. Actually, coming to think of it, all these three forms of art have helped me connect with people in a very profound way. Some of the most uh, intimate relationships I have with fellow human beings today are because of these three. I mean, it's the biggest value that it has given me. I have realized that I have these stages of, consuming stuff, especially when I've deeply fallen in love with the work of art, like a book or a song or something. I first, I'm like dead to the world. I get completely absorbed by it. But as soon as that is over, I have this uncontrollable need to passionately share it with people and infect everyone I know with the love for that thing. And I guess it's because of that I have these friendships. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I actually have people who are willing to absorb that, love for art with the same gusto. And I keep getting phone calls like, stop everything you're doing right now and watch this or read this. This is, I think, the biggest gift I have received from all three. So let me now come to how these three are connected and how they interact with each other in my life. I think music, photography, and literature exist as three separate forms of art only outside of my mind. As soon as they enter my mind, they actually become just this one thing. Which is why, like, seeking beauty in one becomes seeking beauty in the other. Seeking excellence in one area becomes about seeking excellence in the other. And of course, I'm not talking about the muscles required to exercise these art forms. That is different. That practice and discipline has to happen separately. But the riyaz in your mind, I think that is actually just one. We are primarily trying to make sense of this world and trying to seek beauty in it with all the media that we know. Often, when I'm learning music, I learn something in the class which organically I try to see if it's applicable in the other two that I already know. For example, there's a bandish in Bhoop Rag which says Prathama Sura Sadhe जब होवत ज्ञान तब अलंकार कर दिखाए. And then I'll try to see if the meaning of this poem, if it's applicable in the other two. Most of the times it's absolutely applicable. Sometimes Meera Dai will say something to me in the class like, त्याच्यात तू स्वभाव नको टाकूस तुझा, त्या सुरांना स्वतःचा भाव आहे. Stop pouring yourself in that music. The music has its own existence, its own soul. And then I think about how profound it is, and then I'll see if it is applicable in literature, in photography. And most of the times it is. I also see this, more explicitly, the interplay between these three, when I try to explain one thing with the other. I have also seen Meera Tai do that very often in our music class. Sometimes she'll say, हां, तो आलाप चांगला आहे, त्याचा आकार ठीक आहे तसा, पण ना त्याच्या लाईनी जरा जाड आहेत अजून, त्याला थोडं अजून नाजूकपणा दे की. The shape of that musical phrase is all right, but the lines are too thick. It requires a little more intricate design still. Give it a little bit delicacy. See how she uses visuals to explain music. I also notice how music exists in language, or visual aesthetic exists in music. It's very interconnected. Take for example the sentence, I saw him the other day. Now, if I use like emphasis in rhythm to give more importance to each word in the sentence, see how the meaning of the sentence keeps changing. If I say, I saw him the other day, as opposed to I saw him the other day, or when I say I saw him the other day, or I saw him the other day, each of these sentences is completely different because it means something completely different. Add a pause somewhere in that sentence and the meaning will change. Change the timing and the tonality and the meaning will change. And this is true for music as well. Take for example just 3 notes, yeah? Sa re ga. Okay, just 3 notes. Now change the sequence and see how the meaning changes. Instead of sa re ga, if I say sa ga re sa ga sa re sa ga sa. It's just 3 notes. All I did was change the sequence. You can't do that in English language all that much, but try it with Hindi, Marathi, German. Just the change in the sequence of the words will change the meaning. It's ridiculous how interconnected and elegant the design of these things is. Take this photo for example, which has only very few elements. It just has these 2 legs and the shadows. Ask me why I have made the photograph slanting. Ask me why I placed the element in this part of the frame and not in the other. And I mean, I will not have very technical answers to these questions. The only answer I would be able to give you is there's music in this way of framing the a picture, and there's poetry in the way the lines are following you, because I see music in it. I hope this makes sense to you. I hope that this long explanation answers your question, Sahil. Thank you so much for this wonderful question. Thank you so much for listening to this, guys, and I'll see you next week. Please do tell me what you think about it. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.